scattered everywhere. I woke up this morning and told Brandon I have no idea what to say. First service was okay though, so I kind of want to talk about two sides of this. One is you as the church, and one is me. I kind of want to do both. I didn't want everything I said to be about me. I wanted to kind of leave you with something, and so that's, in the first service I did it one way, this time we're going to do it the opposite way. This week has been weird for me. I spent last weekend in Atlanta with some of my best friends, and guys who I've walked with and loved and discipled for years. And I got to see them really fall in love with Jesus all over again. My family is here. This is kind of an awkward picture. And so there is literally someone from every aspect and season of my life in this room, which is really weird. As we speak, the reason why this is a big deal, my family in Haiti is actually watching right now, and so this is why this is all very weird. I've experienced a lot of things in this week. If you remember, I came back this summer when I kind of decided that this is where God was really leading me, and I told the stories of spending a month there this summer, and I think most of us remember that. And between leaving the summer and coming here and talking, I never really had time to process my trip, and so that was extremely emotional for me. And then it just kind of hit me all of a sudden what my experience was like there. That kind of just happened to me about this. 6 months ago, when I decided that this is what I was going to do and this is where God was leading me, I was extremely excited, but it was always so far away. And that was, even yesterday, it seemed so far away, and it hadn't really hit me until about 5 minutes ago that I am moving to Haiti. Yeah, surprise if you didn't know. And so like I said, I don't want to sit up here and talk about me. I have something I want to say, and then I'll talk about me, don't worry. If you're a reader, I'm in Romans chapter 1, verse 14. And I want everyone to kind of understand. People say to me all the time, Holden, I can't imagine doing what you do. And I can't imagine putting my life on hold to do this. And I can't imagine the sacrifice it takes to do this and to leave everything you know and to go. And I understand, people have their own gifts and talents and passions and what drives them. But I've never seen this as a sacrifice. And I've never seen it as putting my life on hold. It has just always been something I was born to do. Moving is something that I have prayed for and dreamed of for about 4 years now, and doing this. And I'll get into that later, but I want to talk about us as a church and about you personally, that it's not uncommon for Christians to say, not everyone is called to be a mission. Or more specifically, I am not called to be a mission. But this way of thinking makes mission work an optional program in the church. It's a command that's only given to a few, and not to everyone. But my question is, where in the Bible is missions ever identified as an optional program in the church? God has created us and called us to go to all nations, but it's not just a call, it's a command. In Matthew 28, the Great Commission, Jesus says to make all disciples of all nations, and sometimes we think, well, that means only people that are gifted to do that. But then we read Matthew 11, to come to me all who are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. And then we think, now that's me. We take Jesus promised in Acts 1:8 that the Spirit will lead us to the ends of the earth, and that means only some people who are called to do that. But then we turn around and read John 10, that we will have abundant life, and we say, now that pertains to me. And when we do this, we have unbiblically given the obligations of Christianity to only a few and kept the privileges of Christianity for everyone. Understand that God has gifted us in different ways with different gifts and passions. This is even true for the original disciples. Peter, a fisherman, and Matthew, a tax collector. And it's interesting historically why Peter was chosen. Obviously, that was from God, but Peter, as a normal fisherman, had to know several different languages. How that gift could be used for God. Or even Matthew, a tax collector, a business major, I like to think, how that gift can be used for God. In the same way I've seen in my life is I am not a pastor. I don't mind speaking in front of people, but this is not what I like to do. Somehow I got into business. God knows only how that went. But the point is everyone is in a position in which they can be a missionary. It doesn't take someone going so far away for this to be celebrated or recognized. It takes people taking the gospel as far as their workplace, or as far as their neighbor. Or I think of fathers as far as their kids. Maybe your greatest contribution to the kingdom of God isn't something you do, but someone you raise. And in every way, everyone has the gifts and the passions to be a missionary. And in Romans 1:14, we look at Paul, who says, I am under obligation both to Greeks and to barbarians, to the wise and to the foolish. Paul says he is in debt to the nations. He owes the gospel to people because Christ owns him, which is the same for everyone. Not only is he obligated to these people, but he is obligated to everyone. In the same way, we owe Christ to everyone, the rich and the poor, and everyone in between, your coworkers, your family, and I am not the only missionary in this room, because when you leave this room and this place, you're in the mission. And Paul says that he is under obligation. Why? Because every saved person this side of heaven owes Christ to every lost person this side of heaven. And if we reduce missions to only a calling for a few, we have taken ourselves out of the weight of a lost and dying world and simply said, I'm just not called to do that. You have, as a Christian, the most precious and greatest gift there ever was. And it seems that sometimes, and even I am so guilty of this, that we're okay with keeping that to ourselves. But what if we as a church and we as believers didn't sit back and wait for a calling to the mission? And what if the very purpose of our lives was because we have been saved for a global purpose, no matter how far that is? And third, what if anything less than proclaiming the gospel wherever we go is actually selling God short, because that is indeed his purpose for our lives? Mission work is something I've always wanted to do. I suffered, I guess, through college. And I hated it, but the taking Christ wherever you go, and in any situation you are, not everyone's passion is to move thousands of miles away from home and learn another language and live in a dumpster like mine is. But God's very
called to be a preacher and a missionary, but your call is not unimportant at all in God's economy. Whether you are a farmer or an insurance agent or a pharmacist, your sister, whatever you're doing, God's placed you there. You've got mission all around you, and it's very important what you do. Just like it's important what you do. I've said way more than I planned to, but you handed me the microphone.
I did.
So
Dangerous thing to give a preacher a microphone.
So we're so looking forward to having you down there. I'll see you in less than 2 weeks when I'm down there. So thank you, Friendship Church.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to call several kind of different spheres of Holden's life to kind of stand around him. And as we get ready to pray together, if you're close enough, just lay your hand on him, on his shoulder, or the person in front of you. And if you're seated, obviously, we're all praying. This is all of us. But there are some special people that we want to kind of be around him as he takes this step that God's calling him to do. And it'll give him joy in it too. It'll be fun. It'll be a great experience. First and foremost, obviously, are his family. As Holden said earlier, the foundation for anything that God will do in a person's life is laid by his father and mother. You loved him before you took your first breath. And then it was a sister. And then it was, grandparents when I love loving the grandparent gig, as you know. That's a good deal. But then it was, cousins and in-laws and outlaws and all that stuff. So, if you are Holden's family, and you're here, and you'd like to, we invite you to come and stand around him as we begin this time of prayer. In addition to this group that kind of God used to form him and make him who he is and bring laughter and joy and discipline and knowledge and truth into his life, there was others. If you ever coached or ever taught Holden Myers anywhere as a youth leader, as a teacher or coach, we had several. We had several teachers at the first service, but I'm not sure. Coach Atkinson is, probably one here today. That's a part of this whole deal too. If you are one of those guys that Holden has loved especially the last year or so with